Yes people, what is good? I am BA, back once again with another reaction to The Last of Us. We are now on episode 2 of season 1 and it is called Infected. Last episode, we basically saw the entire prologue of how things began, which is great. I love seeing how these things begin in a post-apocalyptic movie. I know it's not too good to dwell on that because you want to actually see the post-apocalypse and what has all occurred because of it, but it's always nice to know how things led into that, especially if it's interesting. And as I stated in episode 1, I already knew about cordyceps fungus due to documentary shows long before the Last of Us video game, so I've always been interested in that concept. And even when I first watched the documentary, my first thought was, well, if these funguses attack overpopulating species within the rainforest, what's to stop them from evolving or mutating to attack the most overpopulated species in the entire world? That's right, rats. No, human beings, yeah? So even back then, I was entertaining the idea of how this would affect humanity if it ever evolved to target us. So I think that's just an incredible concept to begin with for this show. And it was really cool but also heartbreaking to see how it began. Obviously, Joel was having a quiet life with just him and his daughter. I'm assuming that was his daughter. They never specified it, but it was definitely her father or stepfather or something. They had a chilled existence. He was a carpenter, she was a good student, got his watch fixed for his birthday, did all that stuff in the beginning to get us invested in these characters, only for all hell to break loose. The neighbours get eaten. Unfortunately, the grandmother was the first one in their vicinity to turn into a 100% zombie. And then just when you think him and his daughter have got away from the danger, she gets shot dead by the actual military. That was just a messed up way to start the show, but completely set up Joel's character brilliantly. So then when we get the 20-year time jump, we know exactly where he's at, what he's been through, and he's found a way to survive in this new world. Then we get introduced to Ellie, who is being held against her will by the Firefly gang, but she's tested positive for the virus and they were keeping her alive, so they must have known instantaneously that there was something different within her body chemistry, that she hadn't succumbed to the fungus in 3 days. I think they said it was 3 days where people turn completely. So the fact that she'd been like 2 weeks and still nothing, the Fireflies must have instantly realised that there was something different and she was important. And that turned out to be the main story of the episode. The Fireflies got into a shootout with the remnants of the government, wounding them, thus they were not able to take Ellie where they were going. I think it was west. Just at the same time where Joel and his female friend encounter the Fireflies and they basically lumped the responsibility onto him. They managed to get past the security and leave the quarantine zone, which led to the scene of Joel bumping into that guy he sells the pills to, and that guy just going by the book and trying to keep them where they were and running the tests, which is how we found out that Ellie does in fact test positive for this cordyceps fungus. Joel then beat the guy to death with his bare hands and the three of them left safely. And that last shot of them just walking through a ruined cityscape with lightning cracking all around and shit. It was an absolute painting of a moment and such a cool way to end episode 1, so I'm looking forward to getting into this week's. This is episode 2, season 1 of The Last of Us, Infected. Let's check it out and see what it's saying to it. It's been a while since I reacted to a show with a cold open every episode. I like a cold open. Gets you straight into the action and keeps you in suspense. Someone's in trouble. She doesn't look like the shoplifting type.
Tadi juga sudah mau selesai.
She's handling not getting to finish her lunch very well.
Apa Bapak tidak salah orang? Andre Bu Ratna, Professor Mycology.
She must be like a specialist in these cordyceps fungus or something. This must be the place where the outbreak began. Also, shout out to Indonesia, setting of the movie The Raid, one of the best action movies of all known time. If you've not seen The Raid Redemption, go and watch The Raid Redemption right now if you like action. If you haven't seen it and like action, shame on you. Best martial arts movie ever.
Ibu mungkin
Pendapat beratnya seperti itu.
Yeah, no influencing her opinion allowed, okay?
Cordyceps tidak bisa bertahan pada manusia.
Oh, you're fucking wrong there. You're gonna kick yourself when we tell you. Bitten in the ankle as well. You gotta watch out for these ankle biters. They really have done this so well, like setting up how this could potentially be possible, combining zombie lore with cordyceps fungus lore. It's a genius move, straight off the bat. It almost writes itself. I don't want to discredit the rest of the writing, but when you have a concept that strong, it almost writes itself. That is so fucking disgusting. Thank God she got out of that room okay. She's clearly been disturbed for the rest of her life, but at least she's in good health.
Seorang perempuan yang tiba-tiba melakukan kekerasan menyerang 4 orang rekan kerja dan menggigit 3 orang di antaranya.
The Indonesian language sounds so cool, but also so difficult to learn if you weren't a native speaker of it. I'd love to learn Indonesian, but the speed in which they deliver the syllables is daunting.
Kemudian, telah menjadi keharusan sesuai dengan prosedur. Mereka harus tetap dieksekusi.
This place seems to have been doing a fairly reasonable job of attempting to contain this right off the bat. It's a shame it got everywhere eventually. I wonder if we're going to get to see how it got out of this little contained situation to, all over the world.
Ibu Ratna, kami membawa Ibu Ratna kemari untuk membantu kami untuk mencegah penyebaran.
Is he calling her by her first and last name at all times, or is that just like a double-barrel first name? It's a bit weird if he's calling her like her first and last name every time he announces her name.
Saya untuk mempelajari hal ini. Jadi tolong dengarkan saya baik-baik.
Oh no, this isn't going to be good.
Dan tidak ada vaksin.
Well, that's a bit of a shit result, Doc. It's never good when your leading scientist in the field is giving you that information.
Mulailah pengoboman.
Fucking hell. When the scientists are suggesting just nuking the shit out of it, it is a bad day.
Maaf, Pak. Apa ada yang bisa antar saya pulang?
Shows you how devastating of a discovery it is, though. If she's brought to tears and her only thought as to how to fix it is straight up explosives, it's harrowing. Again, that was a great cold open. Last episode we got the fungal professor or whoever he was, on that talk show basically breaking down why it's so dangerous. In this episode we got to see it firsthand at the outbreak site, I'm assuming, and the top specialist in the field getting to examine it and realising how much of a lose-lose situation they're in. It's brilliant. It means they don't have to deviate from the plot going through the episode to explain these small bits. They're just using it for the cold open, and that's a great way to do it. And it instantly gets me more interested and invested as I begin to watch the actual episode. Side note, this is borderline making me want to go to the rainforest and attack all cordyceps fungus species with a flamethrower before it does mutate for us. I've got my eye on you, fungus. Don't fuck around.
Morning.
At least they're guarding her closely. They're still unsure how she's able to be a carrier and not change, so I don't blame them for their caution. It's crazy as well. It looked like she was sleeping in the middle of a field, but in actuality it's just a little bit of nature in an industrial building.
What was Marlene doing with an infected kid?
I'm not infected.
She would be more valuable than anything in the world if she was the one person able to resist this.
They'd make me count to 10 and hold out my hand and then keep it steady. But I think what really impressed them was the fact that I didn't turn into a fucking monster.
I would be more impressed with the non-monster thing than the steady hand too, personally. That's just me. There'd be some people out there going, look at the non-shakiness of that hand. She is a pro.
There's not going to be anything bad in here?
Just you.
Oh, funny.
I 100% respect their right to exercise caution in this situation.
She made it through the fucking night.
It doesn't matter. It's gonna happen sooner or later.
Instantly setting up a cool dynamic between the two. She's clearly convinced that there is something special about her ability not to become infected instantaneously, whereas he is dead set on the fact she will inevitably regardless. I'm sure at some point he will be convinced that she is not going to turn, but just now he's got his guard up. And after the shit he's been through, who can blame him? I hope you don't like sports, because I used all those pages. It's not that popular a thing in the UK, but in a post-apocalypse, some meat that had a really long expiration date would not go amiss. She's definitely got the better meal of the two, though.
You take me back, you don't get your battery.
You heard that? Then you must have heard that he wants to shoot you.
Yeah, you've been one-upped on your eavesdropping now, bitch. Do you want a shot?
We're doing this for us. Because apparently, you're worth something. But we don't know what you're worth if we don't know what we have.
I assumed they were doing it because they had some human decency. No. Straight for material gain. That will, of course, change over the course of these 9 episodes. I'm convinced of that. But just now, these guys are in it for the fucking battery.
And whatever happened to me is
the key to finding the vaccine. That's what this is. We've heard this a million times. Vaccines.
He's so jaded at this point. In his mind, he must just think this is the way it's going to be forever. Nobody can fix this.
It doesn't matter if she is or she isn't what the Fireflies say. If they believe that she is, then we get what we want.
If they are just in it to get batteries and supplies and shit, why not complete the mission?
Don't.
Probably not the best type of humour to be utilising in this scenario. We all love a bit of comedic relief, but shit, don't be pretending to be a fucking spore zombie out here.
Fine, I'll just throw a fucking sandwich at them.
I wonder how a cordyceps zombie would react to getting a sandwich yeeted at their face. It would certainly confuse them for a couple seconds. Have you ever thrown a sandwich at someone's face? It gives them a couple seconds to register what's just went down before they plan their next move. I've not done it, but I was just envisioning a sandwich being whapped at my face, and I definitely wouldn't be a millisecond response. There would be a couple seconds there of, is that tomato in my eye? Is that mayonnaise? Did this guy just sandwich me? That is one hell of an epic camera shot. I'm assuming that's created in the Unreal Engine. Nowadays most high-end effects like this are Unreal Engine creations, but it still looks incredible. And I'm such a hater of bad CGI, but that is epic. I would be somewhat tempted to loot that tilted destroyed skyscraper as well. There'd be some good shit in there. Stationary if nothing else.
They had to slow the spread somehow. It worked here, but it didn't in most places.
They just bombed the major cities. I wonder how many human lives were lost just in the bombing of these places.
You know the old mall in the QZ?
The one that's sealed off and boarded up and no one's supposed to go in, ever?
So here's a question. She was bit, it seems like a lot of the people with it are bit. Can it only be transferred via bites, or is there just spores that can come off these things and infect others just by the spores? Because in reality, I believe that's how cordyceps fungus works. It's not transferred by bite.
I'm an orphan, and no.
She's got quite a chilled, happy-go-lucky disposition, considering she's an orphan and she's been through all of this shit. She is a survivor.
So there aren't super infected that explode fungus spores on you?
Shit, I hope not.
That's just what I was talking about. Maybe I was wrong and there is multiple ways to transfer this thing. That was an absolutely terrifying, blood-curdling scream, just from the ghost city somewhere. I've heard of a ghost town, but only in the post-apocalypse do you get a ghost city. Except in like North Korea or China, is it? One of those two nations has like literally a ghost city. That frog was quite the talented piano player.
I don't know how to swim.
Seriously?
Do you think we have pools in the QZ?
No, smartass. I mean...
Yeah, I don't think it's deep enough to need to swim. You'll be fine just wading. Thank God someone invented the word wading. Otherwise, how would we describe having to walk at like thigh-high water? I need to do a leg swim. It's only leg swimming. Swim walking? Wading was definitely a good choice to invent.
Yes, ma'am. Would you like me to check your luggage?
Yes, ma'am. Right away, ma'am.
You're a weird kid.
Part of me is thinking, don't be fucking about in a post-apocalyptic hotel. But then the other part of me is thinking, I'd probably do the same thing.
Come on, it wasn't that bad.
You try climbing 10 fucking floors with our knees. See how you feel.
True, a lot easier to scale upwards when you're youthful. I'm in my late 30s now, and even I would be like, 10 floors? Cordyceps me up.
Well, I mean, maybe I could climb up there, work my way around, and open it from the inside.
I'm worried about this woman's safety, because in the games, or at least in the promotional posters for the games, it's always just Joel and Ellie. I don't even know this woman's name, but I know that she isn't in the promotional posters along with him and Ellie. So, at some point, I think this woman's life may be compromised.
There's others been walking around about 20 years.
God, it's not about walking around as a husk for a fungus to control your brain for 20 years.
What about that guy last night?
Yeah, what about him? He wasn't infected. You pummeled him into the fucking shadow realm.
What now?
At least Tess got back safely, thank God. I don't know when, but I have a feeling she's gonna die this season. I hope I'm wrong. Just to see all those dead bodies is rough. It reminds you of like war photographs and things. Are they all still alive?
The fungus also grows underground. Long fibers like wires, some of them stretching over a mile.
They must communicate with a hive mind after they become infected.
Now they know where you are. Now they come. You're not immune from being ripped apart.
True, she might be able to take a bite, but if a bunch of them just tore her to pieces, there is nothing she could do.
So we're not going that way.
No.
No, probably for the best you pick another route.
Museum.
Oh, this looks risky. Why do I get the feeling they're going to have a zombie encounter within this building? Even to see all the spores on the outside of it, you'd be like, nope, if we touch this shit, we might be instantly dead. You must be able to touch it without risk of infection.
I have a spare hand.
Congratulations.
You might need that for your flick knife. You keep the spare hand. They might get attacked in here, but also they might just leave this place with some pimping revolutionary era threads. I'd love to see them come out the side with them grey judges' wigs on and some triangle hats.
Oh shit.
That dude doesn't look too decomposed, he looks pretty fresh. Would the air even be safe to breathe with that many fungal spores all over the walls and every surface? Whoever did the set design on this show has done an amazing job, by the way. Every single one of these shots and shit just reeks of high quality production, but it starts at like the set design, and it just looks incredible. Must have been so easy for these actors to assume their roles when the props and sets and shit were of such a high level. Just like real cordyceps fungus, you saw the little strands growing out of that head after it had died, probably releasing more spores. Well, you're not going back that way. As if things weren't bad enough, the fucking building is falling down around them out here. It's not about being in a zombie apocalypse and getting taken out by a brick. Yeah, and as expected, they have company in this place. They seem very shy to use their guns. I wonder if one gunshot will just like attract every zombie within their vicinity kind of thing. Happens a lot in this genre. Fucking hell, don't just shoot it in the stomach, shoot it in the head! They have such creepy heads as well, just like mushroom spore heads. It's the quietest reload in human history. That is so fucking creepy. What a creature design that is. Okay, there we go. Headshots seem to work. So by that, it doesn't even seem like a single headshot is a definite kill, but a couple of them, you know, destroy the brain and you'll be okay.
You fucking kidding me? I mean, if it was gonna happen to one of us.
Did she just get bit again in the same spot? She's so lucky it's her.
I know it looks scary.
That was scary. This is wood.
Zombies will give you an interesting perspective on your fear of heights. I find that myself. That thing looks so flimsy, it's just a ladder with a couple planks put across it. I hope there was more support there for the actual actors, because that looked very risky to cross. Every time I watch a HBO show, I'm borderline blown away by the production quality. They are the pound for pound champions of high quality TV shows. I know not everything HBO does is a hit, but if you look at their track record, the great shows from Sopranos to The Wire, to True Detective, to Boardwalk Empire, to Game of Thrones, it is absolutely exceptional. And there's ones I'm missing out, there's ones I'm forgetting that are just as good as those. I notice all these post-apocalyptic shots, they sometimes in these scenarios go with like 100% industrial decay. But what's cool about these shots is it's a mixture of that industrial decay with nature reclaiming it, which is very fitting, of course, because cordyceps fungus is essentially nature reclaiming the earth from humanity. So even these city shots have that undertone of nature coming to take back what it owns.
Holy shit.
These people look like they've been shot by other humans, not killed by the zombies. These look like headshots.
The healthy ones fought the sick ones everyone lost. Tess, what are you doing?
Well, at least it was an even fight. Also, let Ellie get one of these guns on the ground. Give her a firearm. The more guns you guys have got, the better.
We are going home.
This is not my fucking home!
I don't blame him, but I'm definitely siding with Tess here. They achieve nothing just giving up and going back to the quarantine zone. They get everything they want if they manage to get Ellie to this place where the fireflies and the doctors are.
She's infected.
How is she infected? No, one of the zombies bit her. I knew that this woman was going to die at some point. Like I said, I didn't see her in any of the video game art. I knew she wasn't long for this world, but that's brutal they're doing it so early. Really like her character. In the back of my mind I was hoping maybe she stayed at the Firefly facility when they got there or something like that.
I need you to get her to Bill and Frank's. They'll take her off your hands. They'll handle it from here.
That also brings an emphasis to how miraculous Ellie is, because she was bitten at the same time that woman's is. That woman's wound is already beginning to fester, and Ellie's is seemingly already beginning to heal. Oh no, he's touched the ground which they said was connected, so now all the other zombies connected to that fungal growth in the ground are gonna know they're there. Fuck, that's the big group that were all lying down outside, isn't it? Lucky there was just a barrel of explosive liquid there. Wow, that is going to create one hell of an explosion.
Say who you can say.
Why do I get the feeling Tess is going to sacrifice herself in this situation? This is literally the end of the line for Tess this episode, isn't it? This is like Vasquez and Aliens all over again. That is fucking disgusting. Oh, thank God. Rest in peace to Tess. That was a worthy sacrifice. You will not be forgotten. But the fact that that zombie went up and like transferred the spores into her mouth via his mouth is fucking gross. Well, and then there were two. It kinda sucks they killed off the Tess character this early, but an epic way to go out if you're gonna have to go. Okay, and that was episode 2 of season 1 of The Last of Us, Infected, and I will be back in just a minute with my thoughts on that. So, Infected, what did I think of that? Another incredible episode, to be honest. I found myself absolutely on the edge of my seat from the beginning to the end of this episode. It was actually quite a contained, small story. It was mainly about the set pieces and the movement and the tension throughout it, but essentially, they found a bit of city with tough to traverse terrain, so they had to find a route through, and just literally finding that route through from one side to the other was the entire episode, and it's all it needed to be because of the tension they created within that scenario. First, they go the long way, which set up the group of zombies all lying on the ground they saw from the roof, seemingly just basically a dead end, showing a dead end, but those zombies came right back into it by the end. They made their way through the museum, they had the more intimate encounter with the two zombies with such creepy, amazingly designed, like mushroom spory heads to them. Sort of laid out the rules as well. Headshots are not always effective, but if you keep shooting the fucking head a few times, you will destroy the brain, thus giving the cordyceps nothing to control, thus killing the zombie. I'm guessing that's how it works. So they get through the museum after dealing with those two zombies. No cool revolutionary hats or judges' wigs to be had, might I add. But then we find out Tess has been infected, and we get to see a side-by-side comparison comparison of how Ellie's wound should look now and how Tess's wound does look now, which A, shows the specialness of Ellie and her ability to not be infected by these fungal spores, but also shows how dire the situation for Tess was instantaneously. One zombie pops up on the ground of the second building they're going through. Joel doesn't think twice about it, kills him, only to realise that zombie was connected to the spores going through the ground, which led to the giant group of zombies we saw earlier in the episode out on the street. Instantly you've got a horde on you. And Tess, who was already infected, decided to sacrifice herself to allow Joel and Ellie to escape. Incredible scene, such a shame that Tess died. It was also fucked up that the plan didn't instantaneously work and the lighter was having issues, and we got to see how the zombie would affect her without biting her. Obviously she was already infected, but if she was a non-infected person, it kind of shows how they sometimes transfer the spores from their mouth into your mouth, and that is just fucking gross body horror and makes them even creepier an enemy. But yeah, she finally got the lighter working, absolutely kaboomed that entire horde, and Joel and Ellie got out of the other side safely and on to the next episode. Sounds so simple when you lay it out after the fact, but it was an incredibly paced, suspenseful episode with amazing production and set design, a great script, and I found myself absolutely gripped to this episode from beginning to end, and for me that is 2 out of 2 episodes right off the bat. The Last of Us is absolutely killing it, and I cannot wait for next week's. I'm actually so happy I chose this show. It was a choice between maybe 3 or 4 in my head for what I was going to do for this Saturday day while Deadwood's running on the Wednesday, and I'm genuinely so pleased I chose this. A couple of my friends told me I would like it, but I didn't realise how much I would like it. I love this show so far. It genuinely makes me want to buy a PlayStation just so I can play the Last of Us game. I'm so jealous of you PlayStation users that you guys got this game, and we got fucking Gears of War. That is definitely a W for you guys, okay? But we get all the Fallouts and Skyrims in future, so fuck you in the long run. No, it's simply a financial situation. I'm an Xbox person. If I had the money, I would literally have an Xbox and PlayStation. If I was super rich, I'd have an Xbox, PlayStation, and a gaming PC. But unfortunately, you have to pick a lane when you're not rich, and I chose Xbox, and unluckily for me, this came out on a PlayStation. I mean, there's hope one day they release it for Xbox. I was so jealous at PlayStation users for getting the game Sifu, and after a year, Sifu got released on Xbox. Now one of my favourite games, so maybe at some point they do the same for The Last of Us, but I'm not crossing my fingers. I think if I ever want to play this, I'm going to have to invest in a PlayStation. I never wanted to be a 2-console person, but man, the fact that this game is so highly rated in and of itself, and then the quality of the story behind it and everything like that, oh, I really want to play this shit. But yeah, all in all, incredible episode. Acting, script, production design, everything about it is just A grade, and at this point I've almost come to expect that from HBO, which just shows the disgusting level of high quality they consistently have in 95% of the things they release. It's actually amazing, and they are the pound for pound champions of high quality shows like this. I don't know who, but someone in them HBO offices has an eye for a script and knows how to bankroll it to get the most out of the script they read. I do not know who's working up at HBO who has got this Midas touch, but someone up there has made a deal with the devil because they consistently release the most amazing TV shows. If I had to do a list of my 10 favourite TV shows of all time, at least 6 of them would be HBO. That's jaw-dropping levels of consistent high quality there, and you have to tip your hat to that. And as always, I cannot wait to see what happens in this show next week. If you've liked this video, click like, subscribe to the channel to see more videos like this, ring the bell to be notified as to when they drop. If there's anything you want to talk about, comment down below, and share this around to anyone you think might appreciate it or want to watch these reactions along with us. My Patreon link is down in the description. If you become a patron, you get access to my blog, you get access to these reactions I put on YouTube a month and a half in advance, and you also get access to full-length versions of everything I react to. So consider becoming a patron, it helps me and my channel out so much, and until next time, I have been BA, peace.